Hi, and welcome to another edition of OnSide SA Budgenar, and of course Stevie B in London. I'm going to take you through what's been happening. And the first thing we're going to start off with was the match in Dublin last night.
Well, the atmosphere looked electric, and you can imagine the pubs around the ground. But feel for the Germans, Paul. It would have been nice them to go unbeaten, but best team won.
The Italians.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-0 was big. And then Lookman, you know, he's one of Stevie B's.
Well, you know, he wasn't good enough for Fulham, so.
Steve, are you about?
Look, he started off, he's a South London boy. He started off at Charlton, went to Everton, did okay at Everton, and then they sold him to RB Leipzig. And then Fulham got him on loan, and he did okay. It was during COVID in a struggling team, and then Leicester had him on loan. Again, sort of did just about okay, but since he's gone to Atalanta, he's like a new player. And, you know, I imagine there'll be a lot of bigger teams and Premier League teams, you know, looking now, thinking, well, you know, this is somebody we should have on our radar. But good luck to him. I'm trying to think if an English player has ever scored a hat-trick in a European final before. Just racking my brains about that, but I can't think of one.
Well, how many have actually won a European final?
While we're racking our brains, Steve, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
At the moment, a lot of managers have left or been sacked from the Premier League and moved on for whatever reason. We'll touch on some of them later. Who is the longest serving manager at the moment in the Premier League who is still with his team? Hello, Steve.
No, that's right. I'm thinking it's going to be quite short because there isn't anybody who's been there that long. God, you better tell me so we don't, we don't sit all day on it.
Yeah, I think it's Thomas Franks or Guardiola.
Yeah, it's Franks or Guardiola.
Guardiola.
Yeah.
Guardiola been there longer than Franks?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, so a tough question was thrown to me yesterday, and I threw it at Budge, and the boys all came back with those two. I thought Steve might know. Yeah. All right, so the game in Dublin, that puts that to bed. I only saw the goals, very good goals.
Sure. Everything just worked out for Atalanta. Get an early goal, and they sneaked one on the counter-attack, and Germans came at them, but the third goal, but geez, those guys. Then he actually had a chance to roll it square, but he went for the fourth. Greedy guy, especially after the hat-trick. But well done to him. I just hope he stays at Atalanta, because I watch them most weeks, Steve. They play good football. That Gasperini and that young, I think he's a Belgium or a Dutchman up front. The class, I got a funny name.
Yeah, Deroon. He was out. Martin Deroon was out.
Yeah, but the other young centre forward that played for them. I watched them on the weekend because we had money on them. Can play that young stuff. Anyway, Steve, the Premiership, we've got to get back as the FA Cup. Show topics and Mauricio Pochettino.
What is the story?
Well, you just look. Evidently, he had a dinner with the owner and to discuss the future, and then he met with the two sporting directors, and it sounded like, you know, they have a difference of opinion. My read is that basically they just want a yes man. They'll buy whatever players they fancy and expect the coach to blend them into a team. And I think that Pochettino is a stronger character than that. And they must have had, you know, I think the word was that they had a sort of a disagreement. Well, not a disagreement, their sort of vision was not quite in alignment. Now, Pochettino finished the season really strongly.
Yeah.
You know, they were one of the informed teams, won their last 5 in a row, managed to get a European place. We don't know quite which one it is, but from where they were 3 months ago, it's quite an achievement. So, you know, I think the fact that he did quite well at the end, I don't think there'll be any shortages of clubs that would want to take him on in the future.
Yeah, I saw Sky this morning, Maresca, the Leicester City manager's been mentioned. Surely that can't be right.
Well, remember, Maresca was an assistant to Guardiola.
Yeah.
So maybe they sort of feel that. And also, you know, the fact that they're talking about Kieran McKenna. You know, he's had 2 seasons with Ipswich. I mean, you know, to go from Ipswich, with no disrespect to them, to managing a team the size of Chelsea with all the politics that go on and the size of the squad and all these internationals and egos, you know, it's hard to believe that he would have the experience to do that. No. So, you know, you can see, unless they get the right person, it could be another disaster for Chelsea, irrespective of how many good players they've got.
As you intimated, they're looking for a yes man, it seems.
Yeah, that's the impression that some of the pundits have. I've been obviously watching quite a lot in the last few days, and that seems to be, generally to a man, the pundits were shocked that Pochettino went, even though there were sort of rumours. It doesn't sound like they sacked him because of his bad performance, because if they were going to sack him because of bad performance, it should have been at Christmas.
Yeah.
So the fact that he finished strongly and got them into Europe, but we know that they're very impatient. They want immediate success, and it'd be interesting to see whoever goes there. If they do well, good for them, and if they do badly, they'll get a big payoff probably. So it's sort of a win-win for whichever is the next manager.
Yeah, well, if they want a yes man, that's Tuchel and Jose Mourinho's returns out the window, and Steve Pochettino surely has got to be on the Man United radar.
Yeah.
Well, you would think that obviously now that he's available, that whoever that, assuming that Ten Hag goes, then you would think that somebody like a Pochettino, who has managed, a large club like Tottenham and done well, wherever he's been, I would think that he would be somebody that would be attractive to them.
Yeah, Fergie tried to get him before, so it wouldn't surprise me if there's mention of Gareth Southgate and Thomas Tuchel. But especially with the youngsters, don't be surprised if Pochettino gets the job. Talking to Bayern Munich.
Sorry, just before you go to Bayern Munich, where would Tuchel and Mourinho go these days?
Well, Tuchel was mentioned at Man United. Mourinho's hovering around, so we don't know about him.
Okay.
I see Vincent Kompany's been mentioned to go to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, well, evidently they're in talks. I'm surprised. I mean, interesting again that Bayern Munich might be going for somebody who's pretty untried. I mean, he had a season at Anderlecht, 2 seasons at Burnley, where obviously they've had a really poor season in the Premier League. He played in Germany, speaks German, which I think is something I read that would be a big advantage. They want a German-speaking manager or coach, but again, they're a large club, Bayern Munich, and you'd think that after their sort of failure this season, and for them it has been a failure, that they're bringing somebody who, on the face of it, could be a risk.
Yeah. Well, there's no one out there when you think about it, so good luck to them. The team's not the greatest, and let's see what happens. Anyway, Steve, Cup final weekend. Always a big game, but I don't see this being a bit of a contest. Hopefully I'm wrong. How do you see it?
Well, on paper and on form, you'd expect City to win comfortably, but it is a cup final. It's a one-off. It's a Manchester derby, although being played at Wembley. You hope it's a closer game than if you look at their last league game at the Etihad in the second half. I mean, City ran riot, could have had any number of goals, and I think it would be a shame if City won comfortably. You want cup finals to be exciting affairs. I know they've been celebrating a lot at the beginning of the week, but they with the players they've got, Foden particularly, he's on such great form. I find it hard to think that the United's shaky defence will be able to hold out.
Yeah, -1 goal is like 9 to 10. If you do want to back Man United I saw on one of the websites is 5 to 1 to win the cup. So rather back United outright, but I think United will score, but it'll be 3-1, 4-1. That's my suggestion. Biggest game in the world, Steve, or monetary-wise anyway. Leeds United, Southampton. This will be a good game.
It will. And the two teams who obviously finished 3rd and 4th were expected to get through, and in the end got through comfortably. Leeds, I thought, were very good. I mean, they really put Norwich to the sword. I mean, Norwich were poor on the night, but Leeds just didn't let up and scored early, and that was it. And I just think if they play with that sort of determination, I think Leeds might be just a little bit too strong.
Yeah, only thing is they played the 2 league games. Southampton won both games, and they played a couple of weeks ago 2-1. There was nothing on it. I just wonder, playing at Wembley, massive game for the team, the pressure on them. I just hope there's an early goal, Steve. Otherwise, this could become a tactical affair. But I just think with both these managers, I just think that they'll have a go. And I'm hoping, Leeds, I know my Man United fans won't like it, but of the two, I think Leeds are the slightly stronger side. On to Scotland, where the old firm continues a game, and 9 to 10 Celtic, Steve. That looks a fair price.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to have the beating of Rangers really this season, and obviously pit them in the end to the league title. I think they'll be too strong on the day. Again, it's a huge game, wherever it's played. But I think that Celtic have just seemed to be a little bit too strong at the moment, and I think that's a fair price to back.
Yeah, only thing is, there's normally a red card in there. What's the game there at Celtic Park? The guy made a horrendous tackle, so hopefully that doesn't get too spicy, but should be Celtic all day. Steve, our main talking point or league we're going to bet on this weekend is the American MLS, the Italian, the Spanish. It is the last week, and there's not really much at play. In Italy, there's a relegation game, but other than that, it looks all the Champions League place, Europa League. And in Spain, I had a bet last week on Real Madrid, and they kept all their main guys on the bench, 4-1 up at half-time, got to 4-4, and everyone just seems to be waiting for the Euros. So we've left the main two.
I can understand that, and it's you can understand that players, if there's nothing to play for, apart from, obviously they are expected to turn up and put in a performance, but, if there's a 50-50 tackle and someone goes in and thinks, I could get an injury here and miss out playing for my country, you can understand why they might just sort of back away just a little bit. But, in Italy, as you say, there isn't much. There's relegation. Obviously, there's Empoli against Roma, who probably just need a point. But the other sort of talking points is Claudio Ranieri has announced his retirement from football after saving Cagliari from relegation. There'll probably be an emotional farewell to him. He started his managerial career at Cagliari before he then sort of came into the Premier League and all the other clubs. So a real character. Didn't do so well when he came back to the UK with Fulham, but they love him in Cagliari, and he's kept them up this year. So I think he'll do well. As you say,
the Tinker Man. But anyway, we'll start off in Atlanta against Los Angeles, Steve.
Can't
see
lose.
a team strongly here. I'm all over Los Angeles. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think so. They're not having, the standout season that they've had before. They find themselves in the top six, but they score goals, and I'd expect them to get a result. Yeah,
Atlanta, one of the 6 or 7 teams that play on an artificial pitch, and they haven't won an 8. They squeaked in the cup on Tuesday, so 16-10 Los Angeles. It's had my money. I've dived in early. Especially the only thing is the West Coast team traveling to the East Coast, but I think Los Angeles will be too good. Charlotte, who are coached by the ex-Aston Villa man, Dean Smith, at home against Philadelphia. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think it'll be quite a close game. I mean, they're both... Charlotte are sort of doing a little better than Philadelphia. Philadelphia had a very good season last season, and they're just sort of mid-table this season. I think of the two, Charlotte probably starts as favourites. They don't score many, but they've hardly let in any goals this season. One of the best defensive records, whereas Philadelphia sort of scoring and conceding like mad this year. I noticed. So I think for me, it looks like it could be a score draw.
Yeah, agree on the draw. Philadelphia 1 win and 7, but they're unbeaten in 4 away from home, so it should be a tight game. DC United, our man Paul, OnSide Benteke is up front for them.
Is OnSide with him?
He's at DC United, but my man Shaqiri's at Chicago, so the guaranteed goals here, Steve.
Who's at Chicago?
Shaqiri.
Oh,
the Swiss Messi.
He's the joint second top scorer in the MLS this year with 11 from 14. I think they should start as favourites. Chicago having a poor season. They're actually find themselves just one off the bottom in the conference. So I think if there was to be a winner for me, I think looking at DC United.
Yeah, DC United, both teams to score 5-2. That's the play in that particular game. Montreal versus Nashville, Steve. How do you see it?
Yeah, Montreal a little bit disappointing this season. They've conceded a lot of goals. Nashville marginally better, but I think of the two, Nashville probably favourites, but you could see them maybe cancelling each other out a bit.
Yeah, two struggling sides. Hard to have a bet there. Now, New England, the Boston team, were going well last year, but I don't know what's happened. They've only won 1 of the last 6. New York City, they were on the other night. We saw they played the New York Red Bulls, and they beat them 2-1. My only concern about backing in New York City is these grass teams going to play on the artificial. Sometimes.
Where do they play out of New England?
If it is out of Boston, I don't know. I don't think they play it. They play in Boston.
So that's a trip.
That's their trip, yeah. Okay. But I fancy New York City, Steve. Do you?
Yeah, I think, I mean, New England are the sort of worst performing team in both conferences. They've lost 9 out of 12 and conceded a lot of goals. Yeah. I think that New York City should definitely start as favourites. Yeah,
I took 12-10 New York City to score over 1.5 goals. Just difficult away from home. On to our second page, Orlando City at home to Columbus. Now, I follow Columbus because they have that North American Champions League, the Mexicans, and they're actually in the final. I couldn't believe it. They went into Mexico, which is next week. Now, will they play their best team, or will they rotate?
I don't know. I mean, Columbus are the reigning MLS champions.
Yeah.
They're only sort of just a little over halfway, but they've only lost 2 this season in the league. Whereas Orlando is sort of struggling a little bit below halfway. I think, again, we don't know whether or not they will rest players, because obviously it's a big game in this sort of country, this continental cup they have. I think if they play their strongest team, I'd fancy them to get a result, but if not, then Orlando could get something.
Yeah, I have to wake up at 1:30 to see if the team strength and so on. Toronto, Cincinnati, Steve, that's Jaap Stam's old team, and one of their first coaches was a Westville boy. Always forget his name.
Okay.
Toronto, how do you see it?
Well, Toronto, they're having a reasonable season. Cincinnati are doing very well.
Yeah.
Cincinnati find themselves only a point off the top of the conference. So, they've won 9 out of 14. So I think, again, if you look at it, you think Cincinnati would be favourites.
Yeah. Now, Toronto, Cincinnati won the last 6. Toronto's 3 wins and a defeated last 4. Another tight game. Dallas, we don't get beat at home, Steve, but Real Salt Lake cost me money the other week. I went against them and they cruised in. How do you see it going?
Well, Real Salt Lake are probably the surprise team in the Western Conference. They're top. 4 points clear, although Minnesota got a couple of games in hand. I think Real Salt Lake, for me, should be favourites for this game.
Yeah, I'm changed the betting. Unbeaten in 10, Real Salt Lake. St. Louis, managed by an ex-South African, Bradley Carnell. Remember he went to Germany?
Bradley Carnell played for
he was at Wits and then he played for Bafana, yeah. 12-10 at home against Seattle, Steve. Good things or not?
Yeah, well, look, when I've looked at their form guide, they've won 3 and lost 3, but drawn 7.
Yeah.
And Seattle, not too dissimilar. You can see there's been a sort of a score draw here.
I fancy St. Louis at home. Seattle don't travel too well.
Get on to St. Louis.
St. Louis Cardinals, that's the baseball team there. Colorado, Minnesota. I thought Adrian Heath, or Inch as they call him, would still be there, but he's gone. So can't. We've got a South African, one of the guys that plays out of Maritzburg. Bongo Slutswani is his name. He's been there a couple of years.
Plays for Colorado.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
But playing at altitude, Steve, it'd be hard to beat Colorado, surely.
Yeah, Minnesota again are having a very good season. They're 4 points off the top of the conference with 2 games in hand. But as you say, they're playing at Colorado, who are having a reasonable season. They've won 6 and sitting just above halfway. I think if there was to be a win, I'd probably go for Colorado, but I can see that being a draw as well.
Yeah, there'll be goals over 2.5 goals. I saw 8-10. That's my suggestion. On to our final page in the MLS, and we've got the LA Galaxy against Houston. How do you see it?
Yeah, well, I think the Galaxy should be favourites for that. They're not having, I wouldn't say they're having a standout season, but I think they should be a little bit too strong for Houston.
Yeah, I looked at their team last night, Steve. Our man Chicharito's not there anymore. And just looking at the players, a lot of youngsters in these teams, yeah?
A lot of American guys coming through.
Yeah, plenty, but there's a lot of obviously South Americans,
That's good for the, for the MLS is to have sort of good young players coming through, as well as a mix of experience from overseas.
Yeah, Houston struggling away from home, so it should be the LA Galaxy. Now, Portland, managed by Phil Neville. He's finally got another job.
He got another job?
Yeah, against Sporting Kansas City, who haven't won in 7. Surely Portland, Steve?
You would think so. I mean, I looked at some of their results. There are goals in their games.
Always,
in 14 games, there have been 55 goals in total scored. So you think, I can see this being a home win, but maybe with a number of goals being scored.
Yeah, guaranteed, Steve. The home teams always or normally score over 1.5 goals. So I've done a few of those bets. the last couple of weeks, but hasn't been rewarding so far. San Jose against Austin. How do you see it?
Well, for me, I'm backing Austin. San Jose, bottom of the conference, lost 10 out of 14, conceding goals. Austin having a decent season, not standout, but they're sitting third in the Western Conference, and I think they'll be a little bit too strong.
But why would the betting be so vast? Steve's
Paul, you cannot believe the home bias advantage is frightening.
Frightening. They're 7-10 against a team who haven't won, and Austin is 3-1.
Paul, I just say the
Draw's
home
got
bias.
to come into it then.
Draw, massive player. There were cup games in midweek, but those two teams never play. Sorry, San Jose did play in it.
I'd go. You're getting nearly 3-1 a draw, and you're getting 3-1.
12-10 win and draw. That's the play in that particular game. And
is that what it is? Yeah, that's the play.
And the last team, Steve, your ex-City, Vancouver at home against Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Big odds.
Vancouver they're not having a bad season, but Inter Miami are top of the conference.
Yeah.
Wherever they go, it's a sellout stadium. Obviously, you've got Messi's the draw. Suarez is joint second top scorer with Christian Benteke. They've scored a lot of goals into Miami. They average sort of 2.5 a game. You fancy them to go there and get a result. I think Vancouver will raise their game, but I think Inter Miami should probably be a little bit too strong.
My only concern with this game, Steve, is Messi said he's not playing on any artificial pitches, so I don't know whether they're going to bring a grass pitch in or not, but I've backed them at 16-10 at Inter Miami. But the last time they played, I think it was at Atlanta, he never started. He came on the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said he's not risking his career on these bad pitches. So,
what career?
Why would he?
Yeah, so that's the only problem with Inter Miami. Yeah.
Right.
Steve, pressure time. I know we're going on new territory here.
I'm going to go for Celtic as my best bet. I just think they've got the Indian sign over Rangers this year, and we mentioned it. You just mentioned it a minute ago. My value bet is going to be Austin. Yeah. I think that playing the team who are bottom of the table, you'd have thought that they would be the favourites. But so again, whether somebody knows, something a lot more than us, but otherwise 3-1 looks very good value for a team near the top.
Yeah, I'm on Bologna in Italy. If they win, they finish third, an automatic championship place. I saw them against Juventus, 3-0 up and cruising in a monsoon. They ended up drawing 3-3.
I saw the end.
Couldn't believe it.
3 late goals they conceded.
And I'm on Los Angeles to beat Atlanta on Saturday night. That's my
Stone Cold
suggestion.
Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Is that the capital of Texas, Austin?
Yes, that's Steve's value bet. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Cold.
All right.
Steve,
let's see
all the best.
Good luck in the cup final. Let's see what happens, Fudge.
Okay.
All right, Stevie, all the best.
Cheers, Steve.
PSL match Tuesday.
Paul, I didn't know what to do. Last week I went both teams to score. It was 3-0. This time I went over 2.5 goals. It was 1-1. But it was a good game. TS Galaxy played well, Paul. Sundowns haven't lost all season, so they were trying to obviously break that. But good game. Sundowns, just a little bit too much quality, got the equaliser.
Okay, let's have a look at the games that are coming up this week, Budge, and you can fill the crowds in here.
Yeah.
Let's go with the fixtures. The first game we've got up there, Budge, is AmaZulu. Even money, it's a derby.
Moses Mabhida. Arrows have lost a little bit of their spark. Always good. They were good to watch. But AmaZulu don't score many goals. AmaZulu are 9th, Chiefs are 8th. Same points, but 1 goal difference in Chiefs' favour. AmaZulu got to go for it, Paul. But local derby's nice and tight. Yeah. But I think there'll be goals in that, Paul.
Cape Town Spurs, are they relegated?
Gone.
So Chiefs should win.
They should. Paul, Chiefs have won 1-10.
Wow.
It was 15-10.
1-10.
1-10. 15-10, both teams to score. That's got to be the play in that game. It's Cape Town. It could be 2-1, 3-1, but Chiefs got to go for it, Paul, but hard to trust.
Chipper United, Sekakune.
Another game, Paul. If ever there's a 0-0 written all over it, this is it. It was 9-2 last time. The guy who's in goals for Nigeria plays for Chipper. He's a good goalkeeper. So Sekakune, struggling of late, Paul, only 1 win in 9, but 19-10 the draw.
Sundowns 1-2. Is that a good price?
I think so, Paul. They were 1-3 early on in the week, 5-10. I think this could be the first time a South African team's gone unbeaten in the game. They've got 29 games, 22-7. So they'll be
very
fired
good
up
side,
for this
very
top
good.
side.
Cape Town City, is Tinkler still there?
He's still there. They've won the last couple, Paul, but against lesser lights. But you got to fancy Sundowns.
Okay, let's go look at the others then. Orlando, the Pirates.
Super Sport. Gavin's team have come right, Paul. They've won the last couple, yeah. Pirates Cup final next weekend, so they could have 1 on that. Score draw, Paul. 27-10 is a massive price.
Okay, then let's go Polokwane.
Polokwane are in the fight for 8th place. You know, they 10 level points with Chiefs and Amazulu, but
the
2
BP
goals
still
left.
sponsored the top 8?
Yep.
BP top 8, yeah.
And I think it's MTN 8 now, Paul.
Okay,
But TS Galaxy, Paul, they played great against Sundowns. My only worry with that is that was their cup final, nothing really to play for. They're going to finish in the top 5. Good season, but another game, Paul. I think there'll be goals in that because TS Galaxy have a go.
Yeah.
And now my upset of the week, Paul, Richards Bay. Paul, their last 7 games, they've won 4 of them. Stephen's team, Stellenbosch, they've lost the last 2. Nothing to play for.
One was against Sundowns.
One was against Sundowns. The other one was away from home. It was a terrible result. Richards Bay have got to win, Paul.
Yes, so you got to go.
So they've got to win for them, 26-10.
What's win and draw Richards Bay?
It'll be about 8-10. No, 8-10, Paul. Even yeah. And
Swallows.
last but not least, I'm all over Swallows, Paul. Royal AM, I've watched them the last few weeks struggling. Yeah, they need a point to stay up.
Royal AM, they'll be going hard. Yeah. They'll be going hard.
Swallows come right of late, Paul, so I fancy Swallows.
Let's have a look, Budge.
Yep, we're on to our Saturday soccer exotics, and our score 6. We've gone the FA Cup. I'm all over Man City to beat Man United. I've gone the field in the Real Sociedad Atletico Madrid game. Juventus, I've thrown the draw in with them, nothing to play for against AC Monza. Rayo Vallecano, the field against Athletic Bilbao. I think AC Milan will be too good for Salernitana. And after last week, I can't trust Real Madrid at home against Real Betis, so I've added the draw. 2-1-6. On to our PSL Soccer 6, I'm going Amazulu win and draw against Golden Arrows. Kaizer Chiefs in the draw against Cape Town Spurs. Chipper win and draw at home against Sekakuna. Orlando Pirates thrown the draw in with them as well at home against Supersport United. TS Galaxy to avoid defeat at Polokwane, and I'm chancing Swallows to beat Royal AM 192. On to our score 10 for Saturday, I'm going Villarreal win and draw against Osasuna. Going Celtic win and draw in the cup final against Rangers. Banking Man City to beat Man United. The field and the Real Sociedad versus Atletico Madrid fixture. Juventus to avoid defeat at home against AC Monza. The second page, the field in the relegation battle between Almeria and Cadiz. Athletic Bilbao win and draw at Rayo Vallecano, and ending up with 3 bankers. Bayer Leverkusen to beat 2nd Division Kaiserslautern.
Bayer Leverkusen.
AC Milan to beat Salernitana, and Real Madrid got a chance from here to beat Real Betis 288. On to our budgies bets for the weekend, and it is a bit of a licorice horse.
What about your
weekend.
13?
Oh, sorry, the soccer 13, apologies.
Yeah, 13.
I've gone Man City to be too good for Man United. Celtic win and draw against Rangers. Banker Bayer Leverkusen to beat Kaiserslautern. Paris Saint-Germain to win the French Cup against Lyon. I'm going Hacken win and draw against Gaze Gothenburg, and Djurgårdens win and draw against Mjolby. Chancing Falkensburg to beat Oscar Hams. Onto the second page, Barcelona women in the Champions League final to beat Lyon. Going Fredrikstad to beat Tromsø in the Norwegian League. In the Finnish League, I'm going HJK Helsinki win and draw against Tampereen Eels. Aris in the Greek Cup final win and draw against Panathinaikos. In the Cremonense, the Serie B relegation playoff, Cremonense win and draw against Catanzaro, and Portimonense win and draw in the Portuguese relegation battle against AVS Football 256.
Budgie's best bets.
Yeah, Paul, we've got to try something this weekend. But so I'm going Man City to win and both teams to score. I'm going over 2.5 goals, both teams to score in the Celtic Rangers game. And I'm going Leeds United or Southampton to win and both teams to score. I think there's going to be goals in this, Paul. This could be a 2-1. So 2,400 at 200 as I play. In the PSL, I'm going for Morocco Swallows to beat Royal AM. I'm chancing Richards Bay to beat Stellenbosch and both teams to score. Cape Town Spurs Kaizer Chiefs, 2,800 to 200. On to Spain, I'm going Villarreal to beat Osasuna and over 2.5 total goals. Celta Vigo to beat Valencia and both teams to score. Rayo Vallecano Athletic Bilbao and Almeria Cadiz, 3,300 to 200. On to Italy, I'm going Bologna to beat Genoa. I can't believe the price on Roma, they're like 26-10 to win at Empoli. You have to win, otherwise they're down, so the betting doesn't make sense. And both teams to score in the Atalanta-Torino game on Sunday, 2,600 to 200. On to the MLS, I'm going Los Angeles to win at Atlanta, into Miami to be too good in Vancouver, and New York City against New England, and LA Galaxy against Houston, both sides to score over 1.5 goals or a minimum of 2, 3,500 to 200. And now, Collis King 6 on Nexa, I'm going Man City to beat Man United, Mamelodi Sundowns to beat Cape Town City, Bayer Leverkusen to beat Kaiserslautern, Villarreal to beat Osasuna, Inter Miami to beat Vancouver, and Bologna to beat Genoa.
That's a nice big bet.
5,000 to 200.
Yeah, it looks very good, Budge. Looks very, very good. So that's the football this weekend. Cup finals, FA Cup, Scottish Cup as well.
Yep.
And of course the big money game, Leeds.
Southampton, Sunday,
Or
4 o'clock.
where are they playing the Scottish final?
Hampden Park.
Hampden Park. Eh?
Glasgow, yeah.
All right, a lot of good football to look forward to. Until next time, stay on side.